Lane Kiffin essentially was leaving Ole Miss to go take the LSU coaching job, same conference. A lot of folks don't love the way he left. He tried to stay on and wanted to be at least coach the team through the playoffs. The athletic director and obviously the players were not on board with that. And, it got a little messy, apparently. As has been reported, Lane Kiffin was basically saying, hey, if you don't let me coach the playoffs, then I'm going to poach the staff. I'm going to take the offensive staff with me. And he's done that, right? But I have a question for you, though, Daniel. Do you think, first of all, what are your thoughts on the way Lane Kiffin left? But also on top of that, do you think that Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss better than they found? Remember, this is Ole Miss' best season in the history, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're looking squarely at the playoffs. Do you think Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss better than he found it?
Yeah, I think this was a messy situation, and it could have been handled better. But this isn't even a question for me, and this is where I'm on the side of Lane Kiffin on this. Listen, he was messy. I understand. He drugged this out. I understand. But, dog, like, he was their saving grace. People, I know they had Hugh Freeze there, right? And Hugh was good at times. He had a 10-win season. But was he great? No. When you look at Ole Miss's history, right? They're in the previous 47 years before Lane Kiffin, Malik, they had 2 seasons with 10 or more wins.
Mm-hmm.
Lane Kiffin in 6 seasons has had 4 10 or more win seasons. He single-handedly is the guy that's kind of putting Ole Miss on the map. Ole Miss, to new college football fans, is being discussed in the likes of LSU, is being discussed in the likes of Alabama. And I understand NIL makes, these powerhouses, these dynasties less likely. But let's not forget what Ole Miss was before Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin has turned this program around. Undoubtedly, he left them better than he found them. Undoubtedly. And that's where I look at this situation and I give him credit, right? A point that was interesting, Malik, Ed Orgeron, right? LSU's head coach who won a national championship. Do people remember that he was Ole Miss's head coach? No, they don't, because he went on to a fantastic program in LSU and won a natty. That's what he did. And for me, this is very simple. It is a pay raise of $3 million per year with a 7-year guaranteed contract. He gets LSU, who is a pipeline for young guys. He doesn't have to share any of that state with any other school. Louisiana is one of the hotbeds of the entire nation in prospects. So undoubtedly, LSU is a far better situation. It has a much bigger legacy. And this is where Lane Kiffin undoubtedly
doesn't have a, I mean, obviously they have a better legacy of championships, but I'm saying, do you think Lane Kiffin would have become a bigger star at Ole Miss or at LSU? Because for me, I understand everything that LSU offers, right? Maybe an Alabama guy through and through. I understand it. I understand why you'd want to go and coach LSU, the pipeline, the championships, the national stage. I get all of that. But I feel like Lane Kiffin was turning Ole Miss into a powerhouse, right? People talk about how Lane Kiffin doesn't really like to stay loyal to programs. He kind of is always looking ahead to that next opportunity. It makes you wonder, is good ever enough for Lane Kiffin? Because he had the ability to create his own legacy, to have a statue potentially built up outside of, the Rebel Stadium when it was all said and done for him. He had the ability to really inspire change. Ole Miss Rebels got behind him. Players got behind him. State of Mississippi got behind him. And it just wasn't enough. And, you're leaving for you're in the SEC still. You're still in the SEC. And maybe that's the Lane Kiffin magic. Maybe he's able to realize this is as far as I could take this program. I've taken this program to new heights. So this is probably as far as I'm going to go with them. So I'm going to look for greener pastures and maybe look to see if I can take myself to new heights and bring a national championship. Because you got to believe, right, that Lane Kiffin has his eyes set on winning national championships with LSU. He probably thinks LSU gave him the best opportunity, the best shot at doing that such thing. So I don't know, man. I'm a little bit torn on it. I
Yeah.
understand why he left. I understand the way he left, and I actually think he's getting a lot of heat for it.
Yes.
You know, I think that I understand both sides, but I understand why he wanted to finish coaching out his team the rest of the way. I thought that both sides might look back on it and say, "Hey, I wish this was handled a little bit better from the deadline perspective." And I understand this goes down to the NIL, the transfer portal, all that whole nine, all that kind of stuff just makes things a little bit wonky, right?
And that's the one pushback I will have for Lane Kiffin, and the one pushback I will say that Lane Kiffin maybe should have stayed is because of this new age, right? And I understand it's a difference of philosophies, right? Some people say, hey, I would rather be loyal to one team even through our losing seasons, and one other philosophy is, hey, I want to win at all costs. The day and age of NIL is where I can look back maybe in 5 to 10 years and say, hey, Lane, you might have made the wrong move, because look at Nick Saban, right? Nick got out of here at the right time. He knew the day and age of these dynasties, it's no longer here. You can't really develop guys for 4 straight seasons, which means that any team really has a chance to win. So while LSU has a better recruiting hotbed, there is a chance that with the whole NIL stick, you could get a better quarterback at Ole Miss. You could have built something better at Ole Miss, because now it's not just Alabama, LSU, Ohio State. It's Ole Miss now. It's Indiana now. It's Notre Dame. Every one of these teams has a real fighting chance. So that's the one pushback. Maybe in 5 to 10 years, we'll say, man, LSU wasn't on a whole different level than these other teams, because now it's all about money. These kids want to go wherever the money is. And Ole Miss, while they may not have been able to pay Lane Kiffin what LSU is, I still believe that if he was there, they could have afforded these hot prospects, especially a quarterback, because at the end of the day, that's what you need in college football. So
the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well, you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Switch.